The Book of the Dead, also known as the Book of Coming Forth by Day, is a collection of ancient Egyptian funerary texts. The Book of the Dead is not a single book, but rather a compilation of spells, hymns, prayers, and instructions written on papyrus scrolls or inscribed on the walls of tombs. The texts within the Book of the Dead were intended to guide and assist the deceased in their journey through the afterlife. The Book of the Dead was primarily used from the New Kingdom, around 1550 BCE, to the Third Intermediate Period, around 1070 BCE, although its origins can be traced back to earlier periods. The texts of the Book of the Dead were highly personalized, tailored to the specific individual and their beliefs. The Book of the Dead was primarily written in hieroglyphs, but later versions were also written in hieratic script, a simplified form of hieroglyphs. The spells and prayers in the Book of the Dead were believed to have magical and protective properties, ensuring the deceased's safe passage into the afterlife. The Book of the Dead was not exclusively reserved for royalty or the elite but was accessible to individuals from various social backgrounds. The contents of the Book of the Dead varied from person to person, but there were common themes and sections that were often included. The spells in the Book of the Dead covered a wide range of topics, such as protection against dangers in the afterlife, guidance through the underworld, and judgment before Osiris. The heart was considered the center of a person's being, and played a crucial role in the judgment of the deceased in the afterlife. The Book of the Dead included spells to ensure the heart's purity and integrity during judgment. The opening spell of the Book of the Dead, known as the Hail to You in Peace, was a declaration of innocence and a plea for a favorable judgment. The spells in the Book of the Dead often invoked the aid and protection of various gods and goddesses, such as Osiris, Isis, Anubis, and Thoth. The Book of the Dead contained illustrations and vignettes accompanying the texts, depicting scenes from the afterlife, the weighing of the heart, and encounters with deities. The Book of the Dead was often buried with the deceased, or placed in their tombs, to ensure they had access to its contents in the afterlife. The quality and complexity of the Book of the Dead manuscripts varied depending on the wealth and status of the deceased. The Book of the Dead was written in a combination of prose and poetic form, often utilizing repetition and metaphors to convey its message. The spells and prayers in the Book of the Dead were considered sacred and powerful, requiring proper pronunciation and correct recitation to be effective. The Book of the Dead was not intended to be read as a continuous narrative but rather as a collection of individual spells and instructions that could be consulted as needed. The preservation and survival of the Book of the Dead texts were aided by the dry climate of Egypt and the practice of burying scrolls and papyri in tombs. Many copies of the Book of the Dead were created for specific individuals, personalized with their names, titles, and lineage. The Book of the Dead also included instructions for rituals and offerings to be performed by the living on behalf of the deceased. The spells in the Book of the Dead often addressed specific challenges and dangers the deceased might face in the afterlife, such as encountering demons, or navigating treacherous regions. The ultimate goal of the Book of the Dead was to ensure the deceased's successful transition into the afterlife, where they could live eternally in the presence of the gods. The Book of the Dead reflects the ancient Egyptians' beliefs in the afterlife, judgment, and the possibility of eternal existence. The discovery of the Rosetta Stone in 1799, which contained parallel texts in Egyptian hieroglyphs, Demotic script, and Greek, played a crucial role in deciphering and understanding the Book of the Dead. The spells and rituals in the Book of the Dead were considered essential for a person's successful journey through the afterlife and were believed to have a direct impact on their ultimate fate. The Book of the Dead was a significant influence on later funerary texts and beliefs in ancient Egypt, shaping the concepts of judgment, resurrection, and the importance of religious rituals. Copies of the Book of the Dead were often personalized with additional spells and illustrations chosen by the individual or their family. The Book of the Dead played a central role in the elaborate Egyptian funeral rituals, which involved mummification, procession, and burial. The spells and prayers in the Book of the Dead were believed to provide the deceased with the knowledge and power to overcome obstacles and challenges in the afterlife. The texts in the Book of the Dead were often recited or performed by priests during the burial ceremony, or read aloud by family members in later rituals. The Book of the Dead was not considered a static text but was subject to change and adaptation over time, with new spells and variations added in different periods. The spells and rituals in the Book of the Dead were intended to provide protection, guidance, and sustenance to the deceased on their eternal journey. The spells in the Book of the Dead often included formulaic phrases, invocations, and repetitions believed to increase their effectiveness. The Book of the Dead was an essential part of the ancient Egyptian worldview, and influenced the cultural and religious practices surrounding death and the afterlife. Copies of the Book of the Dead were sometimes accompanied by illustrations depicting scenes of daily life, religious ceremonies, and mythical events. The study and translation of the Book of the Dead have provided valuable insights into ancient Egyptian religious beliefs, cosmology, and concepts of the afterlife. The Book of the Dead continues to fascinate and intrigue scholars and enthusiasts, shedding light on the rich and complex culture of ancient Egypt and its beliefs about the journey beyond death. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe,